Foreword to the Whore, a poem. Published anonymously in 1782, The Whore, a poem stands as an unapologetically sharp satire that challenges societal norms surrounding women and sexual morality. Written by a self-described whore of quality, the poem offers biting commentary on the double standards that label women as whores while excusing or ignoring male complicity in the same behaviors. Through wit, irony, and scathing criticism, the poem reflects the tension between gender, class, and morality in 18th century England, highlighting a deep-seated hypocrisy within both societal elites and institutions. The author uses this satirical lens to critique not just individual men, but the clergy, judiciary, and aristocracy, all of whom engage in or benefit from the very behaviors they publicly condemn. The poet exposes how these figures often escape the public shaming reserved for women, underscoring how power and gender intersect to uphold a rigid moral code, primarily aimed at controlling female sexuality. At a time when women were frequently marginalized and subjected to moralistic scrutiny, The Whore, a poem delivers a daring defense of women's autonomy, making it both a literary and feminist statement. Its relevance resonates in discussions of gendered double standards and the policing of women's bodies, even centuries later. In this light, the poem emerges not only as a product of its time, but also as a pioneering critique of the timeless patriarchal norms that continue to pervade modern societies. This poem invites its readers to not only witness the injustice faced by women in the 18th century, but also to reflect on the lingering cultural hypocrisies about gender, morality, and power. Mauve. The Whore, a poem, written by a whore of quality. Of all the crimes condemned in womankind, whore, in the catalogue, the first you'll find. This truly sapphic production is confessedly written by a priestess of the Cyprian deity and by her recommended to those sincere worshippers, the ladies L, G, W, Mrs. N, Mrs. R, A, Bird of Paradise, etc., who sacrifice largely to the loose-robbed goddess of delight and tender dalliance. The Whore, a poem, thanks to the age, the satirizing muse, has themes sufficient, where she will to choose, whether among the vulgar scenes of strife, or those renowned for vice in higher life. Lord, Duke, or Duchess might the theme enhance, and show the worst of crimes, without romance. St. James's or St. Giles's will supply. Enough of subjects, in iniquity. Whore is my theme, ye sisters all attend, give your applause and be a sister's friend. If this ye do and cast a favouring eye, those sons of whores the critics I defy. Of all the crimes condemned in womankind, whore, in the catalogue, the first you'll find. This vulgar term is in the mouth of all, an epithet on every female's fall. And what's a whore? Go ask the nations round. Is it an empty name and naught but sound? Is it, above all other sins, the worst, by man despised, and by God accursed? If that's the case, and Scripture we believe, what was the crime alleged to Grandam Eve? What was the fruit the tree of knowledge showed, and made her break her promise to her God? What in the serpent could o'er her prevail? Was the great evil in his head or tail? The devil himself must clear up the dispute, who knew the virtue of the fatal fruit. But what's a whore in life? Pray let us find, if possible we can among mankind. A woman, who the worst of thoughts debase, all void of shame, of decency and grace. One who for hire her person will dispose, and take for need each passer-by that goes. Is then necessity the only plea? Ye sisters in high life, come tell to me, high-fed, high-bred, high-married too, indeed, do you not sometimes whore to mend the breed? Necessity with you can have no claim. once you have none, unless you know that same. Your spouse perhaps lies snoring all the night, while you are wishing for the soft delight. Is impotence the case? He old, you young, weak in his back while you are stout and strong. If he can't eat, pray, why should you be starved? The craving womb of nature must be served. This Newton knew, and like a cunning elf, as spouse he could not carve, she helped herself. But Grosvenor, what could be the case with you? Good lack, my lord was to my bed untrue. Where'er he went he sought some lewd embrace, neglected me for every newer face. In silence long I mourned my hapless fate, at length determined to retaliate. Yet to no mean amour did I descend. A prince my lover, and a prince my friend. Who would not wish for such a lot as mine? Who would not be a royal concubine? Envied by every lady I could see, who, if not whores, would fain be so, like me. And yet mistaken Grosvenor you find. His royal vows and oaths were all but wind. He's satisfied himself, and comes no more. While for your comfort, you've the name of whore. Poor Ligonier was too condemned by fate to find at last an insufficient mate, one who could not her eager joys pursue, and pleasure's standard raise unto the view. Therefore the staff she took into her hand, and had a regiment at her own command. Worsley of late has proved strong nature's bent, and tried with many for her own content. Her willing cuckold she has nicely bammed, who for his vile compliance should be d. The meanest scoundrel sure in human life is he who to another lets his wife, or basely does at lustful acts connive, that he may tippers to his horns contrive. Plead ignorance though he knows it all the while, that his wife's friend of gold he may beguile. But say you, spouses thus might be in fault. Consider what good lessons you'd been taught. From earliest youth what tutors you have had, that you might rise the joy of mam and dad. Virtue and prudence, names of mighty force, you worked upon your samplers of course. No sights unseemly ever struck your eyes, but all was done to make you good and wise. 'Twas sure the force of nature, that was all, which thus could make your dignities to fall. Had you been brought up in some foreign land, where sacred monasteries around expand, such slippery tricks you surely ne'er had done. Each in her mind, no doubt, had been a nun. Of that I doubt, from stories I have heard, and one I've ready for you no prepared. A tender virgin by her parents' will, and virgins must their parents' hopes fulfill, was to a cloister in her bloom consigned, though she had no such wishes in her mind, to fast and pray, instead of patch and paint, and to be, God knows how, a very saint. Join her soft voice unto the organ's note, and all her thoughts to heaven alone must float. The shadowy veil must hide her lovely face, where joy sat smiling with each charming grace. Knees bent, eyes lifted, hands in order joined, must show her purest sanctity of mind. Yet all this discipline was ill bestowed. Her youthful mind still thought of flesh and blood, and to conceal it, still she strove in vain. She often in her cell would loud complain. How hard the lot insisted to obey, and wished some man would steal her soon away. More than her beads she then would him adore, and be contented with the name of whore. The abbess heard her as she passed by chance, and fancied she had got some vile romance, knocked at the cell, and found her daughter there, with not a book, unless a book of prayer. She wondered much, and told the virgin so, who did not hide the truth, but let her know. Amazed the matron lifted up her eyes, and showed her horror by her vast surprise. Oh, shame to all that's pious and that's good! What wildfire's this which rages in your blood? 'Tis, sure, dictated by some imp of hell. You must be mad. Pray tell me, are you well? Your understanding must be gone astray. I'll call the doctor to you. Well a day. The nun persisted that her mind was right, that she was in her perfect senses quite, and nature in her wishes still prevailed. Love filled her thoughts, and that was all that ailed. Again the pious abbess strove in vain, her wicked wants and wishes to explain. Bid her take pattern by her sister Prue, who was to holy exercises true, who ne'er at morn or evening prayer was found, to cast one carnal eye or thought around. But every sense was calm, each wish was even, and all her joy, and all her hope in heaven. The tender maiden looked again and sighed, and to her mental mother thus replied, Prue, that you mention, as I've heard her say, was, in her younger days, enticed away. The strong temptation she could not withstand, but yielded up at nature's high command. Long with a youth in dalliance passed her life, had all the joys of love, though not a wife, and when he left her for a real bride, she did another for herself provide, another after that when that was gone, and so for many years in joy went on, till tired of sporting in the umrouse way, she turned a nun at last to fast and pray. By her example let me then proceed, on joy and pleasure let my wishes feed. And when that I've been cloyed with love like her, prayers and a nunnery I may prefer. Was not the Virgin, tell me sisters pure, within her mind a harlot, certain sure, such in our boarding schools we often find, where to improve their morals they're designed, yet lewdness there is found among the train, and virtue faintly does her rights maintain. The dancing master, and the friseur too, the pleasing sports of Venus bring to view. Big bellies and elopements will take place, and whores alike be found in every place. But why, by me can never be devised, a whore should be so horridly despised? Why, when by all, throughout the world, they're used, why they should be so cruelly abused? The pulpit thumper rails against a whore, and damns the prostitute. What can he more? Justice pursues her to the very cot, where, for her folly, she is doomed to smart. Whips, jails, diseases, all the whore assail, and yet, I fancy, whores will never fail. What is the reason whores are so in vogue? Why, faith, to gain a true one, ask each rogue. The very priest who dares so much decry, and holds his doctrine up so very high, will from the pulpit cast a sidelong glance, to damn the tenets which he dares advance, and ere, perhaps, he goes to evening prayer, will take a bottle with some willing fair, will to her breasts his saint-like hands apply, and gaze upon her with lascivious eye. In pleasure's pulpit then will mount and preach a forceful doctrine which he dares not teach. Then, sanctified, will to his flock amain, hem, stroke his band, and rail at whores again. The justice, too, who puts the laws in force, must seem a tyrant over us, of course. Produce each humdrum act, from bad to worse, made by old fumblers, for the harlot's curse. Bridewell's the sentence then to all who are poor, but gold well tipped will save the flashy whore, and the good magistrate some clause will find, to soften evidence unto his mind. Perhaps at night, considering the case, indulge his feelings in a close embrace, will, at the tavern, circulate his glass, and take, with glee, his bottle and his lass. Go to the commons, to the arches go, where, for divorcees, people sue, we know. The judges and the proctors, so devout, would with the culprit wish to have a bout. Adultery, though called a crying sin, without their paid, would not be worth a pin. They'll sell you licenses to get a bride, and, on complaint, divorces have beside. O happy land, where such good laws remain, that you may wed and be unwed again. That sacred knot, recorded so on high, those who have money may with ease untie. Yet there's no sister ever this deplores, because it adds so to the list of whores, doctors' commons. Ask at that place where lords and commons sit, to show at once their eloquence and wit, who rule the nation and its laws provide, lift high our fame, the legislation guide. From the right reverend in the prelate's place, the noble count, or more exalted grace, or of the members on the lower side, whose consequence by none can be denied. Ask F, X, and S, W, H, I, and many more, if they at times have each not had a whore. The question's foolish, everyone must guess. They all are guilty, either more or less. Were they but stigmatized, as women are, condemned a load of infamy to bear, their honours, and right honourables too, would fear to bring their faces forth to view. Why then should we be thus condemned alone, when they are guilty, equal, everyone? Were there no men, no whores, there sure could be. They strive to make us so in each degree. Have we a face that's exquisitely fair? They spread their nets, that beauty to ensnare. Is modesty and innocence our guide? To try to ruin it is all their pride. If we are humble, they our hopes will raise, strive to undo us still 1,000 ways. Gold, flattery, and treachery they employ, the object which delights them to destroy. Then cast aside, neglected or forgot, we're doomed to pine, to languish, and to rot. Or if, when such delusive arts are o'er, we go to others, each is then a whore. Ye rogues of fortune, and ye rogues of power, who ruin females in the guardless hour, who may be sons of whores, for what you know, attend to what my artless pen can show. Not far from town and in a rural place, where nature shone with every pleasing grace, where rising hills gave rapture to the sight, with flocks whose fleeces were all snowy white, beneath where lawns extended wide around, and silver murmuring rivulets were found. There in a humble, though not mean estate, I drew my being, as ordained by fate. My parents, though not born to wealth and pride, the market still with various things supplied. Industrious both, they haply found the gains, were equal to their wishes and their pains. I was their only child, and formed to bless, I always added to their happiness. They saw my person everyone engage, beheld my sense increasing with my age. Each Sunday to my dress they'd something add, for pleasing me was making of them glad. A different riband bound my flowing hair, waved in my hat, and fluttered in the air. Thus simply pleased, and innocent likewise, I caught at last Lothario's wanton eyes. About 15, my face had nature's bloom, my lips enticing, and my breath perfume. My eyes, like sloes, were glossy, black, and bright. My shape was slender, and my steps were light. He saw me tripping o'er the dewy lawn, brisk as the lambkins, or the bounding fawn. He hailed my beauties in so soft a speech, which saw a heart less kind than mine might reach. I blushed, he followed, met me every day, till I became at last his destined prey. Yet, oh, what vows, what oaths did he prepare before I fell into his baneful snare. He called me wife, swore I should be his bride, with protestations very high beside. Begged to my parents I would nothing tell, if that I wished his love and person well. His friends were powerful, and I soon complied, for what he asked then could not be denied. I thought that time would reconcile my fate, and lift me far above my present state. Such fatal folly I must still deplore. No wife am I, but a neglected whore. Fruition soon my lover's passion cooled. His absence let me know how I was fooled. My heaving womb a different weight confessed. My parents saw it, and were much distressed. I told the cause. They turned me out of door, and made me wander forth a wretched whore. To faithless him my ruin I must lay. He first seduced and did my heart betray. High in a different sphere, he took a wife. Oh, may she be to him eternal strife. May she to lustful passion give her heart, that every fool with him may have a part. Though higher born, no difference I can see. She should not be a whore, as well as me. That whores are many, certainly you'll find, is owing to the baseness of mankind. Though inclination oft our passions sway, 'tis man, vile man, first teaches us the way. By him we first are taught each vicious art, each crime which can corrupt and spoil the heart. Is any female fond of dress or play? And where is one that is not? You will say. Her favourite passion he will strive to please, and work into her folly by degrees. Like vermin in a building undermine, till the whole pile falls down, his whole design. Then leaves the ruin he himself has made, without one spark of gratitude displayed. No pitying eye beholds the hapless fair. She's left to death, diseases, and despair. Nature cries out, and hunger must be fed. She now must turn a prostitute for bread. Her name is blasted, friendless left, and poor. Tell me what can she do? Why be a whore? Lewd scenes and lewd discourse comes next in play. Deeds dark as night, ashamed to meet the day. Thus they proceed along from bad to worse, launch the broad oath, repeat the dreadful curse. Till, on a lay-stool, she resigns her breath, by all unpitied, to the arms of death. Yet every one of feeling must deplore, that man, vile man, first made the wretch a whore. Finis. From all of us here at the Elephant Island Chronicles, we hope you have enjoyed this poem by a self-titled whore of quality. Until next time, stay safe.